Canva gives you a variety of elements to use in your designs, including what's called frames. A frame is a placeholder, and it allows you to put an image or a video inside of it, and then it takes on that shape. Other programs might call this an image mask, a clipping mask, or an image container, but in Canva, it's called a frame. And today, I'm going to show you how to create your very own custom frames that you can use in Canva. My name is Kat. This is Canva Catter Day. Let's get to it. If you've never used a frame before, let me show you where to find them. You will go to the Elements tab and scroll down until you see Frames and click on See All. And then you have a whole bunch of different frame styles and shapes that you can use. Then you'll just go find an image. So let's say coffee, photos, and you will drag the image into the frame. Right here in this frame, this is the placeholder. This little cloud image is your placeholder image. That's where Canva is telling you that you can put an image right there. So we're going to drag this image right there. There you go. It popped it right into the frame and it looks like this phone shape. If you don't like the placement, you can double click, you can move it, you can even expand it a little bit, kind of like that, until you get it exactly how you want it. But what if the frame shape you're looking for isn't in Canva? What if you're looking for something a little bit different or a little more specialized? Well, you can create your own, and we're going to do that. So let me get rid of this right here, and we will start from scratch. There's a couple ways that you can create your frames. You can use one of the many different graphic elements that are in Canva, which is the easiest method, or you can bring in graphics from another source, but we're going to keep this nice and simple. So let's say we want to search for a dog. We're going to click dog, click on graphics, and I want to find an image. This works best with elements that are one solid color. Yes, you can create frames from images that have multiple colors, but it's a little more complicated, and I want to show you the easiest method. So I'm going to filter my search just by black, so I have solid elements here. You can see they look like silhouettes. That's what works best when it comes to these types of frames, creating like a silhouette image. So let's use this dog bone. I've got that bone right there, and bring it up just a little bit. And next we need to download this to our device. So we're going to click on share. You're going to click download. You want to change the file format to an SVG. So click on file format, click the drop down and choose SVG. That's going to create a vector file, which is what we need in order to turn this into a frame. And then you also want to make sure you click transparent background. That's really important. And click download. It's going to download to your device. And for the second part, we are going to go to the website figma.com. This is what's going to allow us to create that frame. This is a free website. You can sign up for free. There's a paid version, but you're not going to need it for what we're doing. So go to figma.com and create yourself an account. Once you've done that, you'll be brought to the main homepage within Figma. Then we want to add a new design. So go up here to the very top where it says design file. You'll click on that and create a new workspace. This is the Figma workspace. It's just blank. You're not going to see anything there because we haven't done anything yet, but this is what it looks like. There are two ways to bring that downloaded file that we did in Canva. There's two ways to bring it into Figma. The first method is to click right here where this little box is, click that drop down arrow, and you'll see where it says place image or video. You'll click on that. It will bring you to your downloads folder, and then you can choose the image from here. The other method, which is the way I like to do it because it's easier, is just to drag and drop the image right on top of the workspace in Figma. So once you've done that, it will show up like this. So here we have that SVG file that we've created. Anytime you upload an SVG into Figma, it adds some extra hidden layers, and we have to get rid of those. So go over up here to the top. This is the design file right here. And there's this tiny, I hope you can see it on the video. There's this tiny gray arrow. We have to click on that to see all of those hidden layers. So I'm going to click this gray arrow, and you can see it gave me this drop down. There's another gray arrow right here. I have to click that as well. And there's a couple more. There's one right there. and one right here. Depending on the graphic itself, sometimes Figma will add 2 or 3 hidden layers. Sometimes it only adds 1, but you need to figure out which of those layers is your actual file. So we're looking for this bone. So I'm going to go to this bottom layer right here. And there's this little eyeball. This will allow you to turn the layers on and off so you can see which ones they are. So I'm going to click this little eyeball. Okay, that shows me my vector file right there. Let's click this one. That shows me that right there. Let's go to this one. See, I'm one layer up right here. This it's got like this weird number. If I click this one, oh, see that's nothing. That doesn't give me anything. So we can delete this layer. So I'm going to click this right here and just use delete on your keyboard. There we go. That layer's gone. How about this one? There's the dog bone. This is the layer we want to work with. But right now, it's still nested below these other layers. Think of them like pieces of paper, and we have to bring it to the very top. So just click on the vector layer and just click and drag right to the top. Now that vector layer is at the top, and we can delete these other hidden layers. So just hit delete. And here is our vector layer. If you want to, you can rename this. Just double click in this box and rename it dog bone so that you know what it is, like that. Next, we have to change this black fill to something else. Remember, in Canva, it uses sort of like an image placeholder in its frames. That's the same thing we're going to do here. So go over to the right-hand side and you'll see an option that says fill. And right now it's black. You're going to click on that and you have some options. You have a color fill, a gradient fill, an image fill, or a video. We want to use image fill. We're going to click that box and it puts this black and white checkerboard image inside. This is the placeholder. Just like in Canva where it had that cloud placeholder, this in Figma uses this little checkerboard placeholder. That's how we know it has created an image fill for us. Now you just have to download it. Go over to the export button on the right-hand side and click on this little plus sign. And we need to change the file format. Right now it's a PNG. In order for this to be imported back into Canva and used as a frame, we have to make it a PDF file. So we're going to go down here to PDF. So in Canva, when you're downloading your first image, it's going to be an SVG file. Once you've created it in Figma, you want to download it as a PDF file. Those two file formats are what we need for this. So we simply click export. You might see this little error message from time to time which says the origin not aligned with the pixels. Ignore all that. We're not going to have to worry about that for what we're doing in Canva. So just ignore if this little pop up. It doesn't happen all the time. On some images it will show up, but you don't have to worry about it. Just click where it says export. And now we go back to Canva. So let's go back to Canva. Let me make a new page. And I am just going to drag and drop that PDF file right into Canva and add it to my design. Once we have it, you see that there's that black and white placeholder image. We need to remove that. So just go to these three dots and click Detach Image. It will take that checkerboard out, click Delete, and look what we're left with. The same type of placeholder image that Canva does in all of its designs. Next, you're just going to go find an image. So let's go find a dog photo. Let's do, oh, this is a cute one. No, not that one. Let's do, I want one that has a background in it. Let's use that one. Drag it right into the same placeholder that Canva did for all its other frames. It acts exactly the same as any other frame in Canva. Let's go do another one. Let's go find, let's do some cat things for cat people. We're going to go to graphics. I'm going to keep it as the black and white images because that's going to work best. You can see there's black with some yellow and there's black with some color. We're going to stick with just the silhouette style images for now because that's going to make it easier. Let's use this cat, make that a little bigger. And we will download this one as an SVG file. So I'm going to click share, click download. I only need that last page, page 3. Change the format to SVG and make sure it's transparent background and download. And we can go back into Figma. I don't need this anymore. I can delete that one. And I will drag and drop that cat into Figma. There we go. There's that cat. Once again, there's that little extra layers that it put in there. So let's expand this. Now this time it only gave me one layer. The other time it gave me 2 or 3. So it just kind of depends on that specific image. And you'll also notice next to the word vector, it gives you sort of like this little preview. That's kind of how you know what you're working with. We have no other layers other than this vector layer and this top layer. So once again, just drag the vector to the very top. So it's on top, it's the very first one, and you can delete that other one. You don't need it. We are left with just vector. I can rename this. I'm just double clicking on the name. I'm just going to call it cat. And then back over here to the right-hand side for the fill, we have to change that black to that checkerboard fill. Click on there. Click on the image. You'll know because it's got that black and white checkerboard. And then once again, you will download it as a PDF. Export cat. And let's go back to Canva and bring that back in. Let me add another page so you can see it. I will drag and drop that PDF image. There's the cat. Once again, click on the 3 dots because you have to remove the checkerboard. Click 3 dots, click detach. Get rid of that. There's the Canva frame, just like any other frame in Canva. Once again, we'll go find a cat photo. Let's do this one. Drag and drop. Places it right inside that frame. It's very, very cool. There's a couple other things that you can do when it comes to frames, and I want to show you how to use frames that have multiple parts. So let me go back to graphics. Here's one right here. See this paw print right here? See how it has multiple pieces to it? The method is just slightly different if you're working with a solid image versus an image that has multiple pieces. And let me show you how you'll do that. So let's add this to our design. Let's bring it up a little bit. We're going to export this as an SVG file, share, download, SVG, transparent, and I only need that last page. I only need that last one. And download. And let's go back to Figma. We don't need this cat anymore. Let's just get rid of that for right now. This workspace here in Figma, you can actually add multiple things to this workspace. You don't just have to do one image at a time. You can add 5 or 6, 10 or 12, 40 or 50, however many you want to put in here. And when you export those, they will all be completely separate frames that you can use in Canva. I'm just doing them one at a time for now so I don't confuse you too much. So I'm going to just grab that paw that we brought in. There we go. There's that paw. Again, we have to expand all these layers because we have to get to the vector portion. So I'll click expand. Oh, I've got a few this time. There we go. Lots of them this time. And here's why we have so many. If I see this little eyeball, that's going to allow me to see them on and off. If I click on each one of these layers, watch what happens. So there's that one portion. There's that part. There's that part. We've got that part. You see, we've got multiple pieces to this design. We need to make sure that these vectors are at the top, and then we can work with these pieces. So let me just grab these vectors here. I'm just clicking on my keyboard. I'm just holding Shift to select all those and drag those to the top. And then we're going to drag this one. And we will drag this one. So let's make sure we have all the parts. So we have these 4 pieces plus this. Let's make sure we have each one. There's 1, there's 2, 3, and 4. We have them all. We can get rid of everything else that we no longer need. So just delete it all. If I were to export this now, if I were to take this and I were to highlight this image and fill it with that graphic fill and send that back into Canva, because each of these is a separate vector, Canva would treat each piece as a separate frame. Now, if that is what you're looking for, that's perfectly okay. You can absolutely keep all of these separate, and then you would drag and drop separate pieces into it, separate images or videos into it. That's fine. But if you want it to be one frame, not these separate pieces, we have to do one other step. And this only applies if you're using an image that has like these separate files. We want to just simply combine them all into one. So I'm just going to click and drag to highlight everything. You can see I've got all of those highlighted. And here in Figma, at this top, we've got this little menu option. Click this thing that looks like two little squares, and then click the drop-down menu. This is going to allow us to combine those shapes. You want this very first one that says Union Selection. It's going to take each one of these five little pieces, and combine them into one. So it's just one Canva frame. So I'm going to click Union Selection. And notice over here, it just made them all one. Again, we can double click and rename this if we want to. We can just call it a paw. There we go. Then you're going to go over to Fill. Make sure you click on the image fill. And now it is just one image. It is one frame that we can download into Canva. So again, export as PDF. Click Export. Let's go back to Canva. I'm going to bring that in. I'm just going to drag and drop. Bring it in. And add it to our design. Remove the checkerboard. So just click the design, click the three dots, and click Detach. Get rid of it. And here is our frame. So let's go look for dog fur. Photos. That's not what I want. I want actual fur. Give me some. Oh, I know why, because I have it filtered. Let me clear it. There we go. I accidentally still had it filtered for black and white. Let's use this one. Drag it. And it made it one frame. If we were to do it the other way, if I didn't combine these by using that union option, each one of these would be separate. And like I said, if you want it that way, it's perfectly okay to do that. Let's do maybe you have a logo. Let's do your company logo. So let me go grab one of my logos and I will bring it in to Figma. I already have it as an SVG, so I don't need to worry about Canva for this part because it was already saved a while ago. You drag that in. Here's my logo. Again, I have these layers I have to get rid of. See that little arrow? So let's expand all these layers. Now, I know for a fact this is going to have a lot of layers because of the way I designed it. So I have to expand all of these. So watch. Here's this little eyeball. It's going to show you what each part is. If I click on this, it's the outer part. This is one of the whiskers. There's the other one. And then this is each of the layers. When you convert any image into an SVG, if it has multiple parts, it's going to convert each one of those into a separate vector layer. That's really important to remember. I need to take all this and combine it into one layer because I want to be able to use it as one layer. So I'm going to first make them all at the top layer. So I'm going to highlight these and bring them to the top, click and drag. So that's the very top of the layers panel. And then I have to move these three, very top of the layers panel. And then I can delete this named file. You can see right here, it's kind of giving me previews, like there's the T, there's the C, I think that one is the K. So it does give you a preview of what each one of those layers are. Then you're just gonna click and drag to highlight them all. And this is where we use that union feature. Click on that box, click on Union Selection, and it makes them one layer. And I can just use this and double click and rename it. CKS logo. And we are ready to give it that image fill. So go over to Fill. Be sure it's an image fill. You'll know by the checkerboards. And now I can download this as a PNG and bring it into Canva. Export. Let's go back to Canva. Let's bring that back in here. PDF. Always has to be a PDF, not PNG. I said PNG. I'm sorry. It has to be a PDF. Always has to be a PDF file when it's coming from Figma. Here is my file. I have to get rid of that checkerboard. Three dots, detach. and I can fill this. You can fill frames with a color. So if you don't want to use an image or a video, you can fill it with a color. So maybe I want to fill it with that color, or maybe I want to fill it with a gradient. You can do that as well. You can even fill it with something like, let's do something fun. Let's do glitter. And here, let's do pink glitter. And it fills it like that. So you can basically fill it with anything you want to once it's actually a frame that can be used in Canva. Let me show you one more thing that you can do, and this is within Figma itself. Let me delete that. You can also create text and turn it into a frame because, yes, words can be frames as well. Figma has a text tool, so we're going to create some text. I'm going to add a text right here and just type coffee. Well, that's really tiny. Let me make that bigger. Over here on the right-hand side, you can add fonts, you can change the size, you can do all that over here in the right-hand panel. So let's make this a little bigger because that's way too small. That's much better. Okay, here's coffee. And I don't like this font, so I'm going to go over here to the font section and click on that. There are thousands of fonts in here. And a lot of them I found, there's even fonts that are from Canva that are in here as well, that are in Figma. So if you have a certain font in Canva that you like using, you can probably find it in Figma. Let's go find something fun to do for this one. Here, let's use that one. There we go, coffee. And maybe I want to add a second word here. Let's do, I'm just going to duplicate this, copy and paste it and duplicate it. It's easier. And let's do time. Here we go. And let's line this up to the right side and I will move it over here like that. Because I have two separate words, I've got the word coffee and I've got the word time, it will be treated as two separate frames in Canva. Again, if that's the effect you're looking for, that's fantastic, that's great. But if I want these to be one frame, I have to remember to use that union command. So I'm going to highlight them, go to the union selection and click on that so that they become one. You can do it whichever way works for you. And then go to fill, give it an image fill, there's those checkerboards, and download as a PDF. PDF. Export. Let's bring it back into Canva. Grab it right here and we'll bring that in. There's that coffee. Click these three dots, detach the image, and there we go. There's that. Let's go get some coffee. How about coffee beans? And we'll grab that one. Pops it in there like that. The other really cool thing you can do when it comes to text in Figma, let me undo everything that I had done before. Let me bring it back to where I was. So here I have my two separate frames again. Let me just give them a union selection. With text or with graphics, either one, you can also give this an outline. So for instance, these frames that we are working with right now, it's just the frame itself. So depending on what kind of background you put that on, it might get a little hidden. Let's say if I were to use this one and I were to use like this or this one's not too bad, but parts of it might get a little hidden with your frame. And you might want to add like maybe some type of outline to that. So let me show you how to do that as well, because this works on text or on graphics, either one. We've got this option for fill, which we know is going to be that checkerboard, but we can also give this a stroke. See right here where it says stroke? We can add a stroke or an outline to this also. So let me expand this so you can see it. And I'm going to give it a stroke of maybe 4, and I'm just going to leave it as black. Now I know you can't see it because I haven't filled it just yet, but let me give it a fill, image fill. Okay, see how I have this outline? I think I'm going to make it a little bit fatter. Let's do it 6. I have this outline. It's actually outlining my words. I can export it like this and watch what happens when I bring it back into Canva. So it's a PDF. I'm going to hit export. Ignore that error message. Click export. Let's go to Canva. Bring it back in. This is really cool if you need to highlight something specific. Let me bring that back into Canva. Drag it in. And I'm going to add that PDF. Watch this. It gave me a separate layer that's an outline. It's a colored outline that you can use with this frame. So let me first remove the checkerboard. There we go. We removed it. So here's our frame that we can put something inside. So let me go back to those coffee beans. Here's our frame. And here is the outline. And what's really cool about this outline, let me put it right on top. There you go. What's cool about this outline is that, this is a little big. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. We can change the color of the outline. So let me show you where that is. Here's position, here's layers. Here's our outline layer right here. And here is the frame layer. We can change the color of the outline. So if I don't want it to be black, I can maybe make it brown or tan or whatever color I want it to be to help enhance and highlight that frame, because it will take the exact shape of the frame. This is really, really fun because you'll be able to now use this on anything that you want, and you can kind of highlight it with that extra background. Let me go do this with one of the images we did before and show you again. Let's do the cat. That's going to be easier. You grab that cat SVG. We're going to remove those vector layers. Remember, we're going to just bring this to the top and bring it to the top. Wait, I'm not highlighted. There we go. Bring it to the top. There we go. Delete that. Here's our cat. And I want to fill this with the image. And I want to give it that stroke right here, stroke. And let's do maybe 4 for this one. Doing like a skinny one. We don't do a real fat one this time. I've got 4 on that one. And I will download it just like it is. So you've got the fill and you've got that stroke. So let's export this as a PDF. Export. And go back to Canva. And you'll see the difference between the cat we had before. I'll actually add a second page right below here. And you'll see the 2 cats. Grab downloads. And we'll bring this in as a PDF. Here's that cat. And if I look at the position tab, you can see I've got my outline and the frame. So let me zoom out. Let me just move this out of the way for a minute. See, there's my cat outline. And let me delete the detached image. Let's fill the cat with, let's just do fur. Photo, let's do cat fur because it's a cat. Cat fur. There we go. Let's do that one. Add that in there. And then you simply take the overlaying outline just like that. I can change the color. Right now it's black, but maybe I want to bring it gray or one of these colors or something totally different. But it gives you that outline option as well, which just kind of adds a little bit of interest to that Canva frame. I can't wait to see what you're going to come up with when it comes to these Canva frames. They are just so fun to make. Let me show you all the ones we created. They're so much fun to make. So if you decide to make your own frames, tag me on social media because I would love to see them and tell you how awesome you are at creating your own custom Canva frames. If this was helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. That's all for this week. I'll see you next time.